I really want to talk about, we might put this out as a book podcast. We do a very classy, and now we're in Royal Tunbridge Wells. We do a very classy version of this podcast where we talk to people about their books. And we're going to do that for a little while, and then we'll go back to talking about farts and stuff. Actually, there's plenty of stuff in these books.
Yeah.
But you, I was very excited to see you'd written these 3 books. I didn't know about this. These are the last 3 years. You've written a series of books called Horror Heights, obviously aimed at sort of 8 to 12, 13-year-olds or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, that's what the publishers say.
Yeah.
I very much wrote them for myself.
Yes.
And then made sure that they were child-friendly.
Yes. I read the first one and I loved it. I was waiting for my car to get its service and I sat down and read the whole thing in basically
that makes me really thank you.
And it was so enjoyable. My wife, as you know, in your friend,
Yes.
my wife writes kids' books, so you know, and I know how hard it is, and I know how difficult it is to get it right and get it funny and get it exciting. So these sort of a reminiscence to me of Round the Twist or a more recent.
I mean, that makes me very happy because Paul Jennings was the author behind Round the Twist.
Yes.
He wrote a bunch of books in Australia called. They all started with so like uncanny and unbelievable, and they were all sort of collections of short, strange, funny stories. And then the show Round the Twist, which you guys got over here, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, if I go, have you ever? It's amazing. That's lovely.
It's like karaoke in here tonight, isn't it? He won't be doing that one.
He's missing a trick, isn't
Yes, he
he?
really has.
And all the episodes were based on the short stories that he wrote,
Yes.
and he adapted them. And so I was a huge fan of Paul Jennings growing up.
Yeah.
And I managed to get a quote from him on the book, which
right.
was like, he was such a huge inspiration for me when I was younger, and I desperately wanted to do that. And so, yeah, that felt like a full circle.
Well, they're really terrific. From the first one is it's about. I mean, I'm presuming the family are the same family in each one. Are the kids are the same kids in each one?
No, I decided to make it very difficult for myself.
Okay.
Because lockdown had just started, so I was like, right. Not only is this the first time I've written books, but let's add an extra challenge in there because I've got nothing else going on at the moment. And so I decided to make it that all the books are standalone, but they also all took place on the same weekend to kids in the same class.
Okay.
So some of the scenes cross over.
Oh, I like
So
it.
if you read some of the books, you see some of the characters cross over in other scenes and you get a scene from a different perspective. There was actually 13 storylines. I'm still waiting for the publishers to see if they will take the remaining 10.
Right.
But I had, you know that meme from the Always Sunny, not the GIF of the guy from Always Sunny in Philadelphia with all the strings and stuff.
Yeah.
And that's what I had basically to work out where all the plot lines were going and make sure that they all crossed over.
Oh, amazing! Well, the characters are great, and and I think it's very difficult to write good characters of kids that kids are going to find believable. You know, you're grown up, so and you grew up 20 years ago, maybe. So it's
Thank you.
so it's,
you could argue I'm still growing up now, to be fair.
You could do. But to get that right, they feel very real. And the first one is about a girl who likes slime and brings slime into school and keeps on getting it confiscated from her, but then sort of accidentally makes a living slime.
Yes.
That's a sort of character. And it's such a lovely idea. And then it's fun to begin with. And then it starts getting quite scary.
Yeah, actually, and I can say, because weirdly, the last time I was in this venue was for the literature festival where I was doing a talk about the books for kids. And I don't delve into this with the kids because a lot of them are very young, but I hadn't intended this, but it was sort of pointed out to me that you realize it's very much like an analogy for an abusive relationship. And I was like, oh, yeah, it is, isn't it? Like, it all starts off real nice, and then turns into a monster.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's all about, her finding her autonomy and stuff, yeah.
Yeah, but, I think, getting that's such an appealing idea, and it's such a imaginative idea that this blob of slime, I guess, grows in a dustbin, and then learns all about humanity, which you see that a lot, like an alien learning about humanity from TV and stuff, but it kind of picks up everything and then becomes autonomous and clever and grows teeth, which is a great
Yeah.
That's a great detail.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's a fun bit. I really enjoyed it. The slime monster's called Big. Big Yikes is its full name. And I really enjoyed writing Big Yikes a lot. And it's weird because you get a voice in your head and you can't really express it on the page, but as soon as it's in there, you can't stop thinking about it. But yeah, Big Yikes is a fun character. You'll just have to read it.
You will have to read it. Was it slime? I mean, slime's a really good thing to choose. How did you come up with that idea? Was it something you were interested in, or you just thought kids love slime? This would be a great monster.
No, well, so I loved slime as a kid because slime, the prepackaged slime stuff was a thing when I first remember it coming about when I was a kid, and I loved it. And then GAC, I think it was called when I was growing up.
Oh, really?
GAC.
Okay. That's something else.
You could is it?
Yeah. I mean, I hope it wasn't GAC if you were a kid.
What's GAC here?
It's like the old...
Oh! That's like what would come out of your nose. GAC, it was GAK, GAC.
Yeah.
And it was, and it would you would make fart noises if you squished it and everything, yeah.
What fun. And so
can't believe no one's... I've lived here for 15 years, and this just goes to show how little people offer me drugs. Imagine one day I'd be like, yeah, I'll have some slime. This isn't slime.
And so did this, how did it come about? Was this something you always wanted to do? I know you've been doing lots of work in children's TV, so you've been presenting an art show on CBBC.
Yeah, actually, that came afterwards.
Oh, did
so, so I was, it came about the same time, weirdly, but it didn't fully start filming until after I'd already started the series. But so I got to host a show on CITV called Make Away Takeaway, which was so good they decided to close the channel. So they were like, we're not making anything better than this. Let's just quit while we're ahead. So.
Well, that's using your art skills, presumably, to create one. You sort of take art for that, which again, you might not know that reference.
But it was, but we got Art Attack in Australia,
Right, okay,
So that was, again, I grew up big Neil Buchanan fan. So, there's a lot of similarities in the shows.
So it wasn't them approaching you because of that. You'd obviously come up with these ideas and took them to a publisher. Is that how this worked? Or
So with Horror Heights, Horror Heights was originally meant to be a book of short stories because that's what I really liked about Paul Jennings' books.
Yeah.
And I have a very short attention span. And so short stories are like my happy spot. And as I said, I write on a lot of animated shows. So a lot of the animated shows, especially for kids, are usually between 5 and 16 minutes. So you can usually bash out a script in a day. You've got to do drafts and everything.
You've got to pretend you've worked on it. You don't give it in for a week.
I say bash out a script. I come with half of my life experience now, so it's quicker for me than it would have been originally. But I'm quite used to it because you can see a whole story in because it's short. So you about you tend to allow a page per minute when you're writing scripts. So between 5 and 16 pages, that's that's a decent amount. And so I was like, short stories, I could do that. And then and they came back and they said, we don't publish books of short stories for kids, but do you think you could turn them into books for each short story? And lockdown had just begun, and my entire tour had just been cancelled, and I wasn't sure if this Make Way Takeaway was going to get made because everything had shut down. And I said, I can write full books, sure. And so they ended up being longer than intended, and it was a real learning curve. I'm happy with how they turned out, but it was a big learning curve. Yeah, to go from just a little... Also, because when you write short things, you send it off and you get your notes and people say it's funny or it's not funny or da-da-da-da. But with a book, it takes a lot longer to write that and then get feedback. And that's just a strange thing to me. To not get that immediate feedback from something is very isolating. It's very strange.
Yeah.